Yo, what's going on? I appreciate y'all for tuning in for this short live stream. Real talk, the only reason I'm doing a live stream, a live stream tonight is because I actually recorded the video and it came out jacked up. And I was like, you know what? This is unacceptable. So let me go ahead and just jump on and do it live. Now, a lot of things in life are double-edged swords. Shout out to my guy Wolverine for the first comment of the day on time. Hey, I was actually on time today. I was actually on time today. So hey, shout out to you being on time, and shout out to me. Shout out to you being on time, and shout out to me being on time. Hey, a lot of things in life are double-edged swords. Like you can go to the gym and you get real swollen veins, and you're like, man, I physically feel good, but you ain't got no agility. Like you're just so heavy, no dexterity. So things in life, the justice system. Sometimes it works out for the victim, sometimes it works out for the defendant. People are upset either way. There are things in life that are double-edged swords, and in my personal opinion, I think that child support is one of those things. Okay. I know, ladies, if y'all watching this video, before y'all beat me up, I do agree. I think, and we all generally agree that child support is something that's needed because, hey, a lot of people just don't want to take care of responsibility. So I think that's a true statement. But two things can be true. Sometimes child support is used as a retaliatory mechanism that is just because people got hurt feelings and hurt emotions. I've seen women who put their baby father, ex-husband, whoever on child support, and by doing so actually receive less than what they were unilaterally giving them just to kind of make things amicable. So it could cut both ways. And in this video, we are going to talk about Texas and the child support law that just passed the Senate is going to the state house, and then if it passes, it'll be signed into law by the governor. But essentially, they're requiring retroactive child support where payments will start at the time of conception. Yes, fellas, at the time that you splig out, you gotta go in your pocket and pull out your wallet. Yeah, you gotta go in your pocket and pull out your wallet. Now, I see mixed videos. I see some videos where people was like, "Oh, this is crazy." I see some videos is like, it makes sense." I'm just gonna be honest. For me, I don't. I think that it makes sense. Okay, I think that it makes sense. I know that after I split out and the kids was there, I was paying immediately doctor bills, extra vitamins if something goes wrong, or the pregnancy call. Like, if there are expenses, so I think that it's fair. We're going to talk about it as always. Hey, I'm Marcus here. We do attorney reactions to current events, trending news. I will tell you, no family law experience. I have represented persons charged with violating and not complying with child support orders. And the only reason I did that is because, dude, can you stop? Because once a person is in arrears, they fall behind on child support. Now they be looking at being thrown in jail, and the law requires you to get an attorney anytime there's a threat or sanction that could, in fact, be. Get out, go, get out. I don't know what's going on. You're ridiculous. Get out. Bye. All right, my bad. This dog been blowing me. Ever since this dog got a haircut, he been acting like a brother who got his hair cut. Like he just like, yeah, I'ma just sit here and whine so you look at me because I'm looking cool with this haircut. I'm like, man, this dude ridiculous. But that was typically the scenario. Person don't pay their child support. They got to come to court to defend their actions or make a payment or something. I got to beg. So this person doesn't go into custody because they were looking at going into custody. They got an attorney as mandated by the Constitution. I would never want to do family law. I'm glad I don't do family law. Let's take a look at this video and then we're going to talk about it. Yeah, it's a necessary evil. Attorneys who are family law attorneys who get child support, they play a hero and a villain simultaneously. All right, let's go ahead and check out this video and then we're going to talk about it.
Senate Bill 942 could change when you pay child support, and it could be sooner than you think. The bill requires a child's father to pay retroactive child support starting from the baby's conception date. It's a controversial topic that father and business owner Michael Ball feels passionate about.
I feel like she's carrying the baby He's responsible for the baby. Doctor's appointments, all that comes into play. Both parties should be held accountable to bring that child into the world.
Members of the Texas Senate passed the bill on Wednesday with a vote of 27-4.
I bet you those 4 guys who didn't vote for it on child support. They was like, man, I ain't going back paying. I'm not going. I'm not going back paying that money per month. That's going to be ridiculous. Hey, they need to pass mandatory paternity test first. We're going to talk about that because I did have to do some research. I was like, because I saw another video and it made me look up something.
This bill is making sure both parents play a role in supporting the child before birth and covering medical care expenses, which can be expensive. Attorney Anthony Robles at Robles Family Law Firm has been practicing law for 18 years and deals with child support cases daily.
He's seen a lot of brothers. He's seen a lot of brothers go into the clink over child support. Now, real talk. I wanted to take a quick pause because this was actually an interesting point, and this is something that's new. I see a lot of videos are popping up and articles are popping up on it, but this is not, uncommon. Texas is in the process of trying to pass this. I think in Kansas it's the same. There has been federal legislation submitted to the Senate that would amend the Social Security Act to do the same thing since 2022. So in 2022, Marco Rubio, then Senator Marco Rubio, and I can't recall the co-sponsor of the bill, but they proposed this bill as well, and it was reintroduced in January of 2025. Senate Bill 230, the Unborn Child Support Act. Let's see. I just want to read it. I don't need to put it on the screen because that's too much effort. A bill to amend Part D, Title 4 of the Social Security Act to ensure that child support for unborn children is collected and distributed under the Child Support Enforcement Program and for other purposes. This would also apply retroactively to the time of conception. And let's finish watching this attorney, then we're going to address your point, Wolverine. But you know what? Let's talk about it. Excuse me now. The first thing I thought was like, man, you automatically going to start in the hole. You splig out, right? Then 9 months go by, the baby's here, and let's say you a good dude and you like, you know what, I'm gonna sign this, I'm gonna do my thing. You're already 9 months in the hole. So you starting out in arrears, which is probably bad. Like, what if like by month 12, you a year behind and they can throw you in jail? That's actually crazy. Like, it should be a part of the law, like, hey, if your arrears are solely based on this retroactive conception provision, we aren't going to throw you in jail uh, based on those arrears. I don't know. Like, I can see a scenario where a person is like, nah, that ain't my baby. And then at month 12, at month 9, month 12, like it's an elephant. At month 9, the person like, oh, it is mine. I'm paying child support. He's 9 months in the hole because they backdated it to the date of cheek clappage. And now this guy's in the hole, and he may want to pay it, but he may not have enough money to pay the current payments needed since the baby's been born, plus the retroactive payments. I think it would be crazy if those 9 months or those months that were retroactive were like the sole basis of a person being thrown into custody for being behind on child support. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, they never have a carve out like that because that's too much in favor of the father. But I did wonder, like, hey, how do you or can you determine paternity like prior to the birth, during the pregnancy? And there's actually 3 ways. I don't know. I'm old school. All my kids old. We ain't had this. So, okay. So they have a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. This test analyzes fetal DNA found in the pregnant woman's blood during their first trimester. It can be performed anytime after the 7th week of pregnancy. They have chronic villus sampling. A healthcare provider takes a small sample of tissue from the placenta. That sounds dangerous and risky, so definitely wouldn't try that option. Then they have, I don't even know how to pronounce this, amniocentesis. During amniocentesis, a healthcare provider draws out a small amount of amniotic fluid. The first method is non-invasive and requires a cheek swab, DNA sample from the possible father and a blood sample from the mother. So the first one is the best way to do it. So it looks like at week 7, you can establish paternity, so you can get on those payments kind of early. But I think this is a wild and interesting law. Real quick, let's go ahead and finish up this video.
He says child support is a lifeline that parents need to take care of their children.
The obligation to support a kid doesn't start when the baby's born. The mother incurs extra expenses when she's bearing your child.
I agree with that.
When she's creating your child, it's going to help you in multiple other ways. One, the amount you'll owe for back child support, it's going to be less.
That's hilarious. It's going to help you. The ways that it's going to help you because the amount of back child support that you owe is actually going to be less. Like, it's already a built-in assumption that you're going to get behind. Like, I don't know. If your back child support is based on a time period that goes back to the conception date, you should not be able to. The law should not allow you to be thrown in custody because of that. Real talk. I could see a scenario where a guy, after the child is born, has paid his child support consistently for 3 years, but doesn't make enough money to cover up the arrears. I've seen this done with regular arrears. I've seen a guy lose his job, always pay child support, lose his job for 6, 7, 8 months, don't pay child support, gets a job, starts paying it again, can never pay the arrears because he's just getting back on his feet. And they like, nah, we're gonna throw this guy in jail. So I don't know. I think it should be a carve out for that. But I do agree that additional costs are incurred during the carrying of the child.
Because you've already paid some of it. 2, you're probably going to have a better relationship with the other parent.
But
real quick, that's how you know. That's how you know he was fishing for anything for number 2. I'm gonna show y'all. Number 2 is wild. I'm gonna show y'all how y'all know number 2 is wild. Let's go back. Nope, a little bit more. You see this face right here by Counselor Robles? This is a face of, I really didn't think about what is another benefit besides potentially not having as much in arrears. Now, watch the next thing that he does. This is when you know someone is called pulling something out of your ass. Now you take the long eye closed because you're like, oh shit, I got to think of a benefit for this law. Then you look over. Then you look over like that. That's a universal sign when you're trying to come up with a creative side. You're looking over to that creative side of your brain, like, hey, give me something. So the very best thing he could come up with as the 3 benefits. The first benefit was the best one. Extra costs are incurred, so you should support your child during the pregnancy because the mother would incur extra costs. I do agree with that. The second one, and you'll have less arrears because you'll be paying on it sooner, is kind of wild. And this third one, that you'll have a better relationship with your baby mother, is actually wild. And this look right here shows that even he don't believe it, but he had to say something.
Of it. 2, you're probably going to have a better relationship with the other parent.
But is the system really fair?
With child support, at least in the state of Texas, is it only looks at one parent's income. It looks at the income of the parent who's going to be paying child support and the resources that parent should provide for the kid.
That's they only looking at, so you can have a prime scenario where the payer of child support or the payor of the child support makes $50,000. His baby mother make $200,000. They not factoring that in at all, bro. So like, hey, fellas, ladies, everybody should just be responsible when it comes to having kids. But hey, y'all heard it from somebody who's barred and practicing doing this family law thing in Texas. Hey, they don't give a damn about what the receiver of child support is doing. They could be wealthy as hell.
It does not take into account the resources that the person who's going to have custody has the child.
The bill will now move forward to the House. Reporting in Odessa.
All right, so I don't know. That's funny. Real quick, let me check out the comments. Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, man. Kids expensive. I don't know. They just expensive, man. Two and a possible was like, hey, that was like the best. That was like 3 would be the most that I could probably like. Okay, I can handle 3, but like anything more than that, like that shit expensive. Like, that shit expensive as hell. But I do agree that that's crazy. Like it should be a financial requirement before you could clap some cheeks. Like, hey, how long you had your job? What you got in your bank account? But I do agree that hey, the most important decision that you'll ever make in your life, ladies, fellas, it's not the job you take, the degree you choose, the career path, where you want to work out, not who you marry. It's who you decide to have kids with. That's the most important decision that a person will ever have in their entire life, in my opinion. People are going to move out of the state. People are going to move out of the state. That's why. Yeah, that dude sounds stupid. There's going to be a lot of this. Yeah, they definitely should have nobody, but nobody's thinking this through. They just like, hey, okay, you got to pay from the time that you clap, splig out. And nobody's thinking that it should be a provision in there that says a person cannot be thrown in custody for child support arrears if the arrears are solely based on monies that were owed retroactively during the time of backdated to the time of conception. That should actually be in the law. That way, you'll have guy has a child, paid child support for 5 years, still owes 9 months in arrears from the conception and all those carrying months, and he doesn't deserve, in my opinion, because he's trying to do the right thing. But it does happen all the time. He must ain't see Anthony Edwards' case. Yeah, Anthony Edwards paid that girl all that money. Like, how stupid could you be? I actually did a video on that. But how stupid could you be I mean, no shade, but like some, I don't know. As an NBA player, you get some Instagram chick knocked up, and then she calls you, and I think he paid her like, was it like 45,000 or 50,000 to have an abortion? She gonna take your 50,000 and not have the abortion. Like, like we saw this coming a mile away. The fact that he got finessed by it is actually ridiculous. Texas used to be the state to be in because they have a cap on child support, and now they're about to kill that. I think they do still have a cap, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I think they do still have a cap. I think the thing that's actually more interesting about this law is, or this proposed law, is that it was actually introduced at a federal level. Like, I didn't even know that. Now, both times it was introduced in 2022, they just introduced it. It went to some committee and it never got any traction. But it was introduced by Marco Rubio, by 2 Republicans and another guy. I can't remember the other senator. Excuse me, but they introduced the bill, and it got no traction. They reintroduced it on January 25th of this year. It'll probably get some traction. This is my thought, okay? In politics, this is just my thought on the federal law that would require retroactive child support payments. In politics, nobody likes to apologize or nobody likes to say that they made a mistake because it's just frowned upon. Even though I think it would be actually smart to do in some instances, nobody ever takes ownership of any of their mistakes. I don't care what side it is. But if you take a position, you got to lean into that position. So the fact that retroactive child support bill was introduced federally by Republicans, they had to stand on what they believe in. If your belief is that, and this is post Roe v. Wade, so the Supreme Court had already overturned Roe v. Wade, and all the abortion stuff was pushed down to the states, and they're leaning into their beliefs. Their belief is that a child is a person from the time of conception. As such, you should pay to support that child from the time of conception. So it's just a bill introduced by Republicans because they leaning into what they got to lean into. I'm sure none of the guys who introduced the bills probably ever had to pay child support. They do what all politicians do and just pay it off the books. They do what all politicians do and just pay it off the books. Now, there is an interesting point because at a federal level, okay, if you're a Republican and the Republicans are saying, hey, a child is a person at the times of conception. Cool. Not actually a point that I generally disagree with, even though we'll say the topic of abortion rights for a later date, but not necessarily a position that I disagree with. If you're going to say a child is a person at the time of birth, it makes sense to lean in and say you should be paying child support for that person during the time that the mother is carrying. Makes sense. But I was thinking, I was like, so if a woman is in the US from Venezuela and they're here illegally and they get deported, but they're 8, 9, 10 weeks pregnant, uh, should you deport that person because they're carrying a U.S. citizen? Now, I will let you know the Trump administration has made uh, they have made their point on this issue very clear. There is no birthright citizenship according to them, which I think I disagree with. I think a lot of people, I think most courts disagree with it, just how the Constitution is written is patently obvious. But it was just Republicans leaning into what they wanted to lean into. I don't think it's a bad law. I think it's actually probably more good than bad. Okay, I think there are costs associated with those months that should be supplemented and helped by both parents. I do think the law is lacking a provision that would allow for the payer of child support not to go into custody if the only money they owe for back child support is related to that 9 months during the pregnancy term. If you paid everything from year 1 through 18, you at year 1 through 10, and you doing everything right, but you don't have enough money to knock out that extra year. I just don't think that that should be held against you, in my personal opinion. Now, I know I'm not a judge, and I know the judges ain't gonna give a damn. The judges won't give it if the receiver of child support don't care about it, the judge won't care about it. But you already know it's gonna be some woman who's upset, and it's gonna be terrible. This remind me, Wolverine. I gotta do a follow up to the guy who was like 80 years old who had to pay child support for his son or daughter even after the mother of his children passed away. I got to do a follow up because that dude, he probably passed away still owing that money. They probably took it from his estate when he died. Rest in peace, not wishing that he died, but those people wanted their money. You 80 years old in child support court is crazy. Let's see. I heard he gave 100 grand. 100 grand, she finessed that. Yeah, he's stupid. Like 100, you paid her $100,000 to that. That's yeah, he's stupid. And I think he got like 7 kids too. I think he like Sean Kemp. He got like 7 or 8 kids. he probably died. He'd probably die from stress because he ain't have that money. That was actually a crazy story. Hold on, real quick. How old was that dude? Was he 70? Let me see. I'm gonna have to do some open source research to find that story. But yo, I just wanted to hop on real quick and talk about that. I don't think it's a bad law. I think it's probably more good than bad. But I think a lot of people are probably gonna go to jail just because they owe back money. So fellas, ladies, hey, y'all be safe out there. Hey, do the right thing. If you don't got the cash, you can't get that. Oh, if you right, right. But I mean, hey, just be safe out there because you're gonna pay one way or the other. Don't pay for something that was just a mistake and could alter the trajectory of a person's what they want to do. Yeah. Hey, no worries. I appreciate it, Norm. I appreciate everybody tuning in. What's going on, Lisa? Real quick, Lisa, let me ask your opinion. Since I got you here, I know you finance. Hey, shout out to Lisa J. Stocks. I know you're a finance person. Do you think that the tariffs thing, all the tariffs pulling and putting them on? Now, I had a theory on this before everybody started talking about it. My theory on the tariffs were, how can I put this? Okay, real quick, real quick. Let's real quick, real quick. All right, we're gonna go political real quick. Yeah, this law ain't gonna bring relationships closer. Definitely. All right, real quick. Let's talk tariffs. Okay, the U.S. putting 100 and something percent tariffs on China, then doing a 90-day stay, and all of this back and forth. I think it's just going to be short lived because this is just me. I'm not trying to give advice to anybody, but China really has the United States by the gonads. Okay, if we continue to go down this tariff road, China can always exercise the nuclear option of getting rid of all their US bonds. China has the second most US bonds of any country. I think Japan is number one. If they were to release those bonds and say, you know what, we trashing all this stuff, it would ultimately crumble our economy. Now, I don't think they would ever do that because in doing that, they would essentially lose money as well. The value of those bonds is solely tied into the infrastructure of the U.S. economy. So let's put that out there first. China has a lot of options that they could do if they really wanted to slap back and clap back because they own so much debt. They they own so much debt that the U.S. is in such a hole to China. China could really make things difficult. That's why I don't think it's going to go anywhere in the long run. But I said this months ago. I was like, with this tariffs thing, this is just me. I thought it was just a finesse, personally. I thought it was a play like, yo, I'm putting these tariffs on. Hey, before I put them on, if y'all got money, the people who are in the know was like, hey, I'm gonna put these tariffs on. So I think a lot of people sold prior to the tariffs being put on. Tariffs went on, everything plummeted. They bought. Then, right before the 90-day pause went into play, President Trump went on Truth Social and was like, yo, before he even said the 90-day pause, he's like, it's a great day in the stock market. If you didn't buy, you should be buying right now. He kind of threw a little carrot out there. Then 4 hours later, 90-day pause, and the stock market has like the greatest day in years, damn near, if not history. I thought it was kind of a finesse all along. Personally, I thought that before people were saying it, but I don't know. That was just my thought. I don't think that. See, a lot of people think that Donald Trump is stupid. I don't think he. I think he's just more arrogant. I think President Trump is more arrogant than stupid. But I think it was just a play so rich people could get richer. It actually worked out perfect because I managed my father's accounts, and he's so scared of the stock market. And we finally got him into the stock market, and it was at the low end. So it was at the low end. Then the next day, boom, it was an explosion, and the dude was good. Let's see. Yeah, 50 countries that have already given in. China has a dominant leader like Trump. No negotiations there. China just has too much leverage. Like they can do. China gets like 30% of their goods from us, and we get like 70% of our goods from China. They just got too much leverage. Okay. I thought you would agree. I saw it coming a mile away, and I just was like, is this a finesse or that? But I wanted to see what your take was. We get everything from China. It's so stupid, but we have people running the government that don't know anything about government. The White House is a reality show. Yeah, I'm actually not opposed to tariffs, but I mean, I think tariffs can be a good thing if done strategically. Reciprocal tariffs. If you tariff us, we tariff you. But generally, you got to have some strategy besides most things. Yeah, that's all the discussion is now. Luckily, people can do insider trading in Congress legally, so that's why I laugh anytime a congressman gets caught stealing or taking bribes. I'm like, bro, why are you in Congress taking bribes when you could just do insider trading like everybody else? What's going on about that, Wild? I appreciate you tuning in. Since the end of World War II, facts. Yeah, let's see. Just saw a story where China reportedly is mothballing some factories, which goes along with information that a friend who is a buyer with Amazon gave me. Hey, China has the United States by the gonads in the tariff war, and it's just because they own so much of the debt that we have. So at any time, if they wanted to go nuclear, they can. I might do a separate video on that because it's an interesting discussion. I see a lot of people talking about tariffs and like, oh, this is a great thing. I mean, I think it's here in the interim. I'd be shocked if we still dealing with tariffs 12 months from now. And essentially 6 months from now, when everything is expensive as fuck, nobody going like, nah, tariffs going to be pulled back. They going to be hiring people in the government. That's kind of my theory. I think at the current pace, it's just a trajectory that can't be maintained for a year. It's just not going to. You can't have, as the president of the United States, you can't have poor people, middle class people, and wealthy people mad at you. Like you can have poor people mad at you, but wealthy people mad at you. You can have various variations of the three, but if all three are mad at you, poor people mad because they poor, middle class people mad because their money is stretching and you gonna make them poor, and wealthy people mad because the stock market jacking up and you making us poor. So like, if all three of those persons are mad, it's probably gonna be some problems politically. I think short term issues. I agree. I agree. I heard about China is going to ignore the U.S. intellectual property and start reproducing products. Hey, that'd be fire, man. Like low key, I want one of those Chinese electric BYD cars so bad. I don't know if y'all ever seen those cars. Those cars are fire. Yeah. Tariffs aren't bad unless you do what Trump did. Yeah. Yeah. Plus the moles they make cost about 10K. So if you don't have your moles, what should you do? Yeah, literally all the cell phones in the world, the United States only make like 30% of them. Literally, like everything that I'm talking on right, everything that I'm using, this entire studio is from China. This computer, this screen, this microphone, that camera, these lights over there. Like, I don't know, not the this frame for my law license. This frame for my law license was probably made in China. Let me see. I was looking to see if anybody signed it who may have been from over there in the eastern part of the globe. But literally everything in this studio is that everything in here. My Google device was probably made in China. This is actually ridiculous. So yeah, I think tariffs are going to be short lived. What I tell everybody to do is, yeah, with globalization. See, the problem is the the issue with tariffs, real quick, and I ain't gonna go into this too far, but the issue with tariffs is, and I agree, when globalization started, it pushed jobs overseas, and we went from an industrial economy to a consumption economy, and it's so hard to go back. So it's false to say that, in my opinion, I'm not an economist, but by putting tariffs on, we're going to bring jobs back to the United States, because that requires so much. It would literally take like 5 years at a minimum, if we're lucky, to start to be able to get any level of reproduction or production, reproduction, any level of production of goods in the United States that would make a sufficient impact on the economy of the United States. Like, businesses haven't been here so for so long. Like, you think all these car companies just going to build all of this stuff and do all of this stuff overnight? So I don't know. I think that was a I was never a fan of globalization and sending all the jobs overseas, but that's what happens when you can get cheaper wages. Wherever things are cheaper, that's where people are going to go. That's why like 80% of businesses are incorporated in Delaware. Isn't that because nobody thinks Delaware is great? Delaware just has laws that are favorable for businesses. So why would I incorporate my business in expensive ass law, California or DC or New York, when I can incorporate my business in Delaware and pay little to nothing because they have laws that are favorable? So let's see. Yeah, yeah, that was a big one. I don't know. What I tell everybody is, because I know when the market was crashing, I know people who like wrote books on finances who were very smart, who was like, yo, I'm taking everything out. The job market, especially if you're like a government employee, was unstable. And I was like, yo, if you have stable employment during this time, and the only thing that you're doing is contributing like the minimum to your TSP or your 401k to get the match, just keep doing that. Like, I knew before Trump got in office, I told myself, I was like, no big purchases for the next 4 years. Like, nah, I'm not buying no fancy cars. I'm not doing any large purchases over the next 4 years. Because over the next 4 years, I'm all about stacking everything up. And Trump won. I talked about this before. Normally, it takes 7.5 years to double your portfolio. In those 4 years Trump was in office the first time, my portfolio doubled. I'm like, yo, if I could get that same kind of return, the only issue is with that plan, you have to have stable employment. If you got stable employment and you've been doing whatever you've been doing investment wise, if you've been doing anything is better than nothing. Just stay the course on whatever it is you're doing, and if you can increase it, because all of this time that everybody looking at is crazy markets and tariffs, the people who gonna win when it's all said and done, man, the people who've been investing, they're gonna be rich as fuck. They're gonna be rich as hell. So if you could, hey, if you aren't contributing to your retirement accounts at a minimum, do that now because it's gonna pay off in the long run. Yo, that's it for this video. I'm about to get ready to jump out of here. They like the cheap labor. I know. Did y'all see, actually, speaking of cheap labor, I saw an article where I don't know the accuracy of this, but I did see an article that alert sent to my phone. I don't know if it was Yahoo News, but it said that the White House was considering an exemption for persons in the United States illegally who work in agricultural and service jobs, because in states like Florida and Texas, now that they're giving everybody the boot, they're having difficulty filling those roles. I don't know if you all see, in Florida is actually proposing legislation to reduce the age requirement for people who can work. So people can have their 12, 13-year-old, presumably. I don't know what the age is, but you can have younger children doing some types of jobs. I don't know how good that is going to be, because I already know what'll probably happen. People will exploit it. They're not going to let some 13-year-old work. No, they're going to try to stick some 13-year-old in some hard ass job, like in a damn coal mine or some crazy shit. I think that it'll be crazy. Ain't no wealthy. Like, my kids wouldn't be out there doing it at 13, but if it's a family who's trying to make ends meet, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, go in the coal mine to work, son." So it's kind of getting crazy. I don't know the accuracy of that story, but I did get an alert to my phone. Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, this is true. I will agree with you on this. No, Americans. Uh, some people think they I mean, I kind of get it, but if you need a job, you just need a job. When I didn't have a job, I was doing everything. I was like, yeah, I do this. I take this temporary contract position. I'm gonna go drive Instacart. I was getting groceries. I was doing all sorts of shit. Like, when you gotta make ends meet, you're gonna do what you want to do or have to do. Most people, most respectable people, but there are a lot of people who just like, no, I'm not. I'm not working out in construction. Some people would rather not have a job than go out and work a construction job where they got to stand out in the sun and turn the sign and say stop and slow for traffic. They'd be like, you know what? I'd rather sit at home and not do it. I'd rather sit at home and collect $400 every week from unemployment as opposed to go make $1,000 a week standing in the sun turning the stop slow sign in traffic. Yeah, it's a hey. People have a weird mentality. I turn more to the hey. I'm gonna do what I got to do to make sure everybody can eat out here, but not everybody have that mentality. So I do agree with that point. Some people think jobs are beneath them and would rather try to get something for nothing as opposed to getting something out of the mud, in my personal opinion. My dad worked in structural engineering and we lived between Arizona and VA. They want everything located to where they live. Nah, sometimes you gotta get up and move, bro. Sometimes you gotta move, and yeah, spoiled, man. Workers have gotten spoiled. That's just kind of what it is. But you got to do what you got to do to survive. But most people, if I'm only making $200 more, I'd rather sit on my ass and collect unemployment than go out and sweat in the sun just to make an extra $200 a week. That's how some people think. Terrible. Yo, that's it for this video. I got to get ready to get out of here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Let me see. That's actually crazy. For I tell people all the time, like, actually, this is real talk. I actually regret that I didn't work harder, like when I was young, like in my early 20s. I was like, oh man, I wasted a lot of time. Like, that's actually the time when you should work hard. If you busting your ass then, because presumably y'all tell the goal that I think most people want is to be able to have one job where they have a 9 to 5 job. It may require overtime, whatever. All jobs do. But generally, people want to be in a position where they can have a 9 to 5 job, and that 9 to 5 job allows them the opportunity to make more than what they need. They can pay their bills, they can save, they can invest, they can occasionally take a vacation, they can help their kids out with college. Like, you know, that's what most people expect, but a lot of people just don't want to put the work in. And that's crazy. If you're young, if I, like, I tell my son now all the time, like, bro, like, man, this summer you should work 2 jobs. Bro, you ain't got nothing else to do. You 18, man. Go out there, make as much money as you could, stack up as much money as you can. Because when dad decides to pull the rug up from under you, life gonna start lifing. And I was like, one day you're gonna have to pay your own cell phone bill. This fool looked at me and was like, is that day today? I was like, this dude's ridiculous. I was like, this dude is utterly ridiculous. But yo, that's it for this video. I'll probably do another live stream. I think I'm gonna do like a fun live stream this weekend where we just talk about whatever. We're gonna look up random stories, talk about whatever. I'm gonna tell y'all how I was extremely disappointed. I was so excited this year. Every year I owe taxes. So this year I was like, I'm claiming single zero. I'm not claiming anything. I'm gonna pay more because I'm tired of owing these people. I know finance people are going to say, never give the government an interest-free loan. I'd rather you pay me back money as opposed to me having to cut you a check. I know the interest-free loan to the government, I did whatever. This is how life works. I literally got my taxes done. I was like, man, I got a refund. And then some shit in the house broke. And I was like, there go my refund. I was like, life just be lifing. So we're going to talk about it. Yo, I appreciate everybody who tuned into this video. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. Be safe. This is the year of living within your means, below your means, and stacking up your money. Like, I actually want to get my emergency fund up to a much higher amount because we just don't know what the hell is going on in this economy. Yeah, I know, man. It's been a minute, bro. We definitely do, man. I'm around. Wait till the weather get good, though. The weather kind of janky right now. I ain't coming out in this weather. Like, that's not what we do. Rain, cold, nah. Wait till the weather get about a good 60, 76-ish, 79-ish for like a week straight. Then we're going to get into something. Yo, y'all take care. Y'all be blessed. Have a good evening. Peace. Good night.